Yeah. Um, well, we're down to 20 days. We're holding at 20 days. I'm going to hide you for just a minute while I do this. Hang on. We're down to 20 days of inventory, and excuse me, 543 of those are 430,000 and under. So that number's hanging kind of steady in there. I've noticed a lot of condos are selling. We did 99 closings yesterday. That's the good news. However, we only listed 81. That listed number needs to stay equal or better than the closings, everybody, so that we maintain our inventory. And of course, we're doing about 94 sales a day. 44 of those sales are to investors, and the $1 million plus homes are going off the market about 3.5, 3.6 a day. Not quite last year's number. We're down maybe one home a day. But anyway, I think I agree with Dr. Young that that part of the market is going to continue to just thrive. So let's get Jimmy back here. Let's hide this. There you are. There we are. There we are. What's on your agenda today? You said you had an easy day. What do you do on an easy day?
I'm going to finish the risk reduction class. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to finish that and send it to Kane.
Cool.
And think about, we need 2 contract class, 2 broker management class, 3 property management class. So I may write a property management class. I have one that I wrote a few years ago, and it's about like grandma's ashes. What do you do with grandma's ashes? And I can revive that and just make sure all the laws are still correct. Because, we talked in class yesterday about you have to get it in some of the HOAs now. You have to get a DNA test for your dog.
Isn't that amazing?
So if your dog poops, they can know whose dog it is.
I mean, that is just unbelievable. I mean, I heard the gal say that. I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't know what HOA that is, but I know here in Red Rock, lots of dogs, and they walk constantly. And people are really, really super good about picking up after the puppies. I walk almost every day, and I don't see a lot of dog poop lying around, yeah. But I see a lot of dogs, and I see a lot of owners taking care of that. So I don't know. This particular community must have a lot of abuse.
Well, and I know I saw a meme that had this guy. He said, I told you your dog's doing it on my yawn, and you kept saying it's not your dog, it's not your dog. And then he has a picture of the dog on his lawn. And he says, this is definitely your dog. You caught him.
Oh, my. And was the owner with him, I wonder?
I don't think so. I don't think the owner got in the picture. But definitely the dog did. And the dog was busy. Just what you wanted to talk about this morning.
Yes, dog poop.
Yeah, I didn't mean to take us down that road.
That's okay. That's okay. But when it comes to property management, I can certainly help you if you want me to do half of it, or, we can, work on it together. That would be great. Okay. That would be great.
Well, I'll send you what I have, and you can look at it over the weekend, maybe.
Yes, I would do that. Yeah. Okay. So we're going to Santa Barbara tomorrow, and we are going for the first time. We got a driver, Jimmy.
Oh, good. Excellent. I was going to ask you, but I didn't want to hear a no. So good.
We did get a driver, and one of the gals in our office found him, and he is a professional driver, and he goes to California all the time, taking business people there, taking sports figures there, taking celebrities there.
And you fit in all those categories.
Oh my gosh, I wish. Yeah. So interesting. This is what he does for a living. His name is Ray, and he does this for a living. And he has a beautiful Suburban, so it's no wear and tear in our car. There's no gas that we have to buy. He does all that. And we're leaving at 6:30 in the morning, and John's appointment is at 2, another one at 3. We're going to get a bite to eat, and then we'll be home by 10 o'clock.
Great.
Yes, and I'm going to finish this book, which I'm going to talk a little bit about today.
Okay.
And I'm starting to do a PowerPoint about some of the high points of it. But first, I wanted to tell everybody what the news are today. We have some news. Let's see if it made it to the. No, of course it didn't. Let me pull it up here. Get it real quick. Yes, it's been a stormy morning for me. This week has been like that, but we have those.
So is Kane going to do the show tomorrow, or we're going to pass tomorrow?
Well, you and Kane can do the show if you want to help him. I'm not gonna be
Right.
here. Yeah.
Right.
So a Las Vegas builder buys shuttered golf course and plans 1,600 homes. So this is Touchstone, and they bought this for 33.7 million, and they purchased the Royal Links Golf Club actually the end of the year. That's what the property records show anyway. And it's interesting because I played that golf course actually, and it is a nice golf course. And there is a Pulte development up in that area as well. It's on the east side, and they're going to build 1,600 homes. And here's the location of it, if you want to know. It actually has views, the city. So it'll be interesting to see what they end up doing. It's a sprawling development that will bring lower priced housing to a market that accelerated last year with rapid sales and record high prices, and while paving over a golf course that was once owned by a sports bettor, Bill Walters, and that was immersed in controversy. Bill, do you know who he is, Bill Walters?
No.
Well, he had some casino connections back in the day, and he also, I think he was sued a couple times for some improprieties and what have you. And I think he's passed on. I don't think John did Bill Walters pass? He went to jail. Oh, John said he went to jail. So that's a real pass. Yeah. So anyway, but the 1,600 homes is a lot of homes. That's more than Pulte and Toll Brothers is going to build out here in Summerlin. So
Touchstone's the #1 fastest selling community on the market for the last year at least. And they're the ones that said they don't want to sell to investors. They want owner occupants only.
That's fantastic too. And they're going to be priced reasonably. And so that's some good news. Good news. That was really the most important news today.
Well, it's one more reason when on the offer, when we says the buyers to satisfy themselves is the golf course. That's just one more example of a golf course that just got converted.
Yes. Yeah. And it's beautiful up there, really. I mean, it's really pretty because you can see the city and the mountains, the Western mountains. I enjoyed playing that golf course. And
well, my friend likes the fact that he says, too, if you're on that side of town, when you come into work, the sun is at your back. And when you're going home, the sun is at your back. So you're not facing the sun going to work and coming home if you're, working at probably like a more normal 9-to-5 job.
Well, we have that issue a lot coming home. Yeah. That sun, because we're headed west, and that sun is brutal some days. If there's particulate matter in the air, it's hard to even see. It's kind of dangerous.
Yeah, it's not what you think about when you're buying a house. You're looking at the house.
Yeah, right. Exactly. So, Jimmy, I'm really interested in this branding, this story branding, because I think it's going to bring a new dimension to people who want to do video and want to do it right and want results. And I've showed, a couple of Glenda Baker's videos, and she always has a good hook. I critique her, and sometimes I think, she could have had a better hook, but it doesn't matter. She had 100,000 people look at it.
Yeah.
Her personality. But I think that this book, let me show it again, that I'm going to do the PowerPoint about, building a story brand. I think this is the secret sauce to successful video and content. I know that a friend of mine, and I won't mention her name, but she wrote a book, and it had to be like 1.5 inches thick about content. Well, there's content everywhere if you're in real estate. We don't lack for that. And every day there's new content, especially if you're in Las Vegas. So I don't think content is the issue. I think the presentation and the story and how you brand yourself is the things that we have to pay attention to in 2022. Right. So that's my mission. I changed my plans a little bit. I was going to just concentrate on creating video and creating the vehicle to hold the video, being it Instagram Reels or be it YouTube, your website, your Facebook business page, your personal page, things like that. But I stepped back a little bit when I started reading this book, and I thought, oh my dear, why, before people start going down that rabbit hole, they need a structure. And you know how I love a system.
Right.
And this book has a system, which is right up my alley, of course. And yesterday, it's not going to show up here. Let me hide you for a minute because you can still hear me, right?
Yeah.
Okay, let me put myself over here, put myself over there. So yesterday I said mistake number one is you fail to focus on the aspects of the offer that will help people thrive and survive. And we know that our job is to find people, the home, the right home that they want. So the second mistake is, making the customer burn too many brain calories to understand the offer. And I went over this in detail yesterday because we have got to start learning how to do sound bites. And Jimmy, you talk about this a lot. And you have to make people pay attention. The news is the formula works for growing your business as they do for entertaining an audience. I'm just kind of reviewing yesterday a little bit in case you missed it. And I was going to dive right into creating video with questions and content. And then, like I said, I realized that you need to know how this works and how to make creative videos. So we're going to learn the formulas for clean communication, the components of clarity, how to eliminate the noise. That's an insidious enemy, and what to stop saying. Again, clarity, who does not, what will, and what will not. And those are really main points. Let's see if I can get you back here now, because you'll probably be able to see you.
He says building clarity. I mean, it's on the cover of his book. Clarity is really significant because if it's too confusing, they'll just move on.
Yes, they will, and they do. And that's why a lot of people are not successful at video. Let's see if I can move this thing over here.
I don't remember seeing it in the book, but on his audio book, because I downloaded the Audible just so I could get through the book quicker. And I obviously I have the book as well, so I can highlight parts. But he says on his Audible.
Yes. Yeah. And so here's one of his main points in the first couple chapters. If you confuse, you will lose. And people make decisions to buy or sell based on what? Not based on what we say, but on what they hear. And many times it's what we don't say that invokes their interest as well. And when you clarify your message, it makes your communication easier. So the previously mentioned formula is a serious formula, and the formula needs to organize your thinking, reduce your marketing efforts, obliterate confusion, terrify the competition, and finally get our business growing in the right direction. And then in a nutshell, this is like the preamble. A character. This is when somebody writes a story, Jimmy, this is some of the things that they do. They have a character that wants something, okay? Our character wants the right home or wants to sell their home. They encounter a problem. Well, they don't know what to do. That's their big problem. Or there's such a variety of things. If they're a buyer, they are worried that they're not going to find that needle in the haystack that they're looking for. And if they're a seller, they're also worried that they're not going to sell their home for the best price in the shortest amount of time. And so we become the guide, and the guide steps in to help. And the guide has a plan. And of course, we have a plan. That's our job. And that calls them into action. And that action helps them avoid failure and ends in success. And those are the components of a story. And we'll examine the framework of the 7 elements of the narrative communication system, which I'm going to put in my PowerPoint. And we'll learn how not to confuse customers because we're going to stick to the formula. So, and then we're going to get everybody to do the grunt test. What is the offer? How will it make my life better? And what do I need to buy it? And I can basically see how we can evolve this into, almost a class, if you will, for people.
Well, be clear too, when it says a character, the character they're talking about, the character that the author's talking about is the buyer or the seller. It's your prospect. You are not the character. There is a character. They have to identify with that character. They've got to say, well, that guy's just like me, or that lady's just like me. And the grunt test he's talking about on the Audible, he says, pretend you were a caveman and there was a message out there. And if you could just grunt and get it, then it's a good enough message. You just got, oh, yeah. That's what he talks about in the Audible book.
Yeah. Did you finish it?
The last step's important too. What happens if you don't get it?
Yes. What do I need to do to buy it? And how will it make my life better? And what is the offer? Yeah. So what your comment was what just now?
On the last of the 7, of 7, is it what's going to happen if they fail to get it? I mean, we know renters lost $56,000 last year. The average price went up over $56,000. If you're renting, not only did you lose a year's worth of rent, but you also lost 56,000 in appreciation. So you're losing more than just the rent.
Exactly. Exactly. So, yeah. And so I think that once we get done with the PowerPoint, which I'm going to take the book and put it into the PowerPoint and give my John's phone's ringing.
He's a busy guy. That's good.
Anyway, so my goal is that people their video content has to pass the test, and there's seven parts to it, and I think that there's actually a chart in the book about the elements of the story, and this is free at that mystorybrand.com, this particular chart. And when I read it, it really makes sense. If everybody just filled in the blanks of these 7 elements before they did a video, I think that they would achieve clarity and also get the consumer to want to do business with them. Mm-hmm. That's the bottom line. They want to give the consumer the feeling of, know, like, and trust me because I can solve your problem for you. And I have a plan so that we succeed, not fail. So that's what I have today.
Well, people like sequence. When your plan follows a sequence, that allows their brain to be orderly, and the brain doesn't have to worry about what's coming up because the brain knows, oh, there's a sequence. I count 1, 2, 3, 4, and then whether it's up to 7 or 12 or whatever the number is, at least I know as you're the mentor, if you're the guide, you have a plan and you've showed it to me. I don't have to remember all the steps because you're in charge of the plan. I'm just going to do whatever you make me do, or whatever you tell me to do, whatever you exhort me to do. But you have a plan. And so I'm looking at you to guide me through this. And somehow he talks about clarify, but he also talks about simplify. I don't know whether you put the plan in your presentation or not. I think just maybe a client saying, you know what, I worked with Ruthie and she had a plan and we followed her plan and get a hold of Ruthie and find out what her plan is.
Yeah.
Because if you don't, you're going to be confused and you might get lost along the way. And there's the pain if you don't do it.
That's a good, clear message, right? That's a clear message.
I hope so. And it's from somebody else so they can identify with, because the consumer cannot identify with their real estate agent. I mean, we work on commission, they get a paycheck. We work on weekends, they take weekends off. We have to get up every day unemployed. They don't.
Right. Yes, exactly. Yeah. So we're a different animal, so to speak.
We are.
So I'm really looking forward to this, and I really think it will help me help everybody else achieve success, because Jimmy, and we've been saying this for so long, if you don't do video, you're going to get lost in the shuffle and you're not going to do as much business as you could do. You will do business, but you're not going to do as much as you could do. So if you've got a plan for success this year and you want to increase your business, this will help you.
Well, and I know if Frank and Karen read this book, they would have input like next week on Monday or Tuesday. Or they listened to the book on Audible, they would have input on Monday or Tuesday, and you could do your whole show around this book, I'm sure.
Yeah. Well, I'm looking forward to it. And I said that I mentioned the fact that we have a driver taking us to California, and that drive is 5.5 hours, both, down and 5.5 hours back. So I will be finishing the book and creating the PowerPoint tomorrow. Yeah. And I don't have to drive. I can sit in the back seat. I have my computer and I'll be like, I'm so jazzed about that. Who gets jazzed about work?
Well, I'm glad you found the driver, because like you said, that makes the trip very productive.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. And it wasn't as inexpensive as we had hoped. But here's what I did, Jimmy. I took the price of a hotel because John said, we're not going to make it round trip.
Right.
Hotels, good hotels, are not cheap in Santa Barbara, California.
Right.
And cheap hotels worry me because of COVID. I'm just telling you, I just worry about that. And, at our age and, John's immune system and all those items I think about. Well, and then the gas and the wear and tear in the car. We figured it out, and it's about a wash.
Yeah.
It's not cheap, but it's about a wash.
And you don't have to drive.
And we don't have, wear and tear on ourselves.
Yeah. So it's not a wash. It's a win for sure.
It's a win. Yes, yeah. It is a win. Any words of wisdom, Jimmy, for today?
No, I think what you did, you figured out what you can delegate to make the best use of your own personal time. And I think that's wisdom. I think when you figure out what can I not do, What am I saying yes to that means I'm saying no to something else? Every time I say yes, it means I've got to turn something else down. I think Tim Ferriss has a TED talk about what you should be afraid of, which is an interesting way to spin it. But he says, what should you not be doing? Really, that's what am I saying no to? That's as important as what I'm saying yes to, because every time I say yes, that's no to something else.
And I think I heard that TED talk, and it was very insightful, and it really made me think about that's probably my biggest problem is I say yes too much.
Well, now you've inspired me. I got to go watch Tim Ferriss's TED talk again. That's what I'm doing.
Okay.
Before I write my class.
Okay. Well, are you and do you and Kane want to do the show tomorrow, or?
I honestly, I don't know what I'm doing tomorrow.
Okay.
I'm taking it day by day. If I can be on, I will be on.
Well, I'll let you and Kane figure that out. And in the meantime, I'll be on my way to California. We leave at 6:30, so I'm not going to be able to do the show. And are you in your office today?
I'm at the Eastern office. Yeah.
Yeah. Different. Looks different.
Yeah. Different.
Well, everybody, have a great day. And I'll be anxious to get this trip over with and look forward to bringing some. I'm going to have a sports person on Saturday on my show, talk about the Super Bowl, things like that. And of course, we'll have the news. And Max always has some interesting perspectives of our business because he's not in it. So anyway, I'm looking forward to the next few days. And yeah, it's been a hectic January so far.
And we're 2/3 over already.
Thank goodness, maybe.
Tomorrow's
all right,
20th.
everybody. I love you all. And Jimmy, I sent you a text. I hope you got it.
Okay, I'll check it out.
All right. Okay. Thank you, everybody.